Her eyes filled with panic as she took a shaky step back, one hand instinctively resting on her belly. "Please make him stop," she pleaded, her voice trembling. But the German shepherd, Rex, didn't ease up. His growl deepened, body rigid, eyes locked onto her like he sensed something no one else could. Mark glanced at the other security officers. This wasn't random. Rex was trained, meticulously trained to detect threats like explosives or narcotics. He never acted without reason. But this didn't feel like a typical case. Could she be hiding something dangerous? A tall officer stepped forward, his tone firm. "Ma'am, we need to ask you a few questions." The woman's face lost all color. "I don't understand. I haven't done anything," she said, her voice shaking. Around them, passengers began murmuring. Some stared at her with suspicion, others with concern. Tension filled the air. Mark hesitated. Was Rex overreacting, or was there something more? He trusted Rex's instincts more than anything. "Take her in for further screening," he said. Two officers moved toward her, gently, guiding her away. Her breath quickened, hands trembling as she held her stomach. "Please." "I don't know what's going on," she whispered. Mark followed close behind with Rex, who still hadn't calmed down. His eyes stayed fixed on the woman, his stance tense and ready. Mark had seen him alert before, but never this determined. Inside, the private screening room. One officer carefully examined her belongings while another prepped a body scanner. A female officer spoke softly. "Do you have any medical conditions we should know about?" The woman shook her head. "No, just, I'm 7 months pregnant," she replied, though her voice wavered like she wasn't sure. Outside the room, Rex paced back and forth, whining and scratching at the door. Mark watched him with a deepening frown. Something wasn't right. Rex wasn't reacting to drugs or weapons. It was something else. Then suddenly the woman gasped. Her hands flew to her belly and her face twisted in pain. "Something's wrong," she whispered, breath shallow, voice laced with fear. She stumbled into a chair, her whole body trembling. Sweat gathered on her forehead, and her breathing turned rapid. The officers froze for a moment. One of them stepped back from her bag, stunned. "Is she going into labor?" someone asked quietly. Mark acted immediately. "Get medical assistance." "Now," he ordered. The panic in the room grew as her condition worsened, but beneath the physical distress there was something deeper. Fear. Not just of pain, but of something else entirely. Something hidden. Outside the door, Rex let out a sharp, urgent bark, then began scratching harder, his whine growing louder. He was no longer just alert. He was afraid. She shook her head frantically, her eyes wide with fear. "No, no, it's too early," she cried out, grimacing as another wave of pain hit her. Her body trembled, and tears spilled down her cheeks. "Please, someone help me," she pleaded, her voice cracking. Within seconds, a team of paramedics pushed through the crowd of officers and concerned bystanders, dropping to their knees beside her. "Ma'am, stay with me," the lead medic said urgently, his voice calm but firm. "We need to get you to a hospital right now." Mark's pulse was racing. Everything had shifted from a security threat to a medical emergency. This wasn't just about protocols anymore. This was about life. 2 lives. The paramedics worked quickly, checking her vitals. As she winced and groaned through each contraction, one of them glanced up, concern written all over his face. "Her pulse is erratic. We need to move now." As they prepared to lift her onto the stretcher, Rex lunged forward. His nose lifted as he sniffed the air sharply, then his ears pinned back and a low, uneasy growl rumbled from his throat. Mark stiffened. Rex wasn't reacting to panic. He had caught something again. "Wait," one of the paramedics said suddenly, pausing in his movements. He leaned in, gently pressing against the woman's stomach, feeling for signs of movement. His face tensed. This isn't just early labor," he said slowly. "Something else is going on." The woman's breath hitched, her skin pale and clammy. "I don't know what's wrong," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Please, save my baby." Mark's fists clenched. Whatever this was, Rex had sensed it before anyone else. But what had he actually detected? Then the answer hit. One of the paramedics looked up, his face grim and pale. "There's an internal rupture," he said, urgency thick in his voice. "If we don't get her into surgery immediately, neither she nor the baby will survive." Mark felt the ground shift beneath him. Rex hadn't been barking out of aggression. He had been warning them, desperately trying to protect her. The terminal burst into motion. The paramedics raced her toward the ambulance, shouting over each other as they coordinated. Mark and Rex ran alongside, weaving through a crowd of stunned travelers who had frozen mid-step. The woman's breathing was shallow, her eyes barely open. "Stay with us," a paramedic urged, gripping her hand tightly. "You're almost there." Rex whined again, his usual composure replaced by visible anxiety. His gaze never left the woman, as if he could feel the weight of what was happening. Mark swallowed hard. If it hadn't been for Rex, none of them would have realized in time. As the paramedics loaded her into the ambulance, she turned her head slightly, her lips trembling. She looked right at Rex. "Thank you," she whispered, barely audible. Rex let out a soft, comforting sound, tail still but eyes locked on her. Mark gave him a gentle pat. "You did good, buddy," he said quietly. The ambulance doors slammed shut, and seconds later, its sirens cut through the air as it sped away. Mark stood there, heart heavy, watching it disappear into the distance. But one question kept circling in his mind. Would she and the baby survive? The hours dragged by painfully slow. Mark sat on the bench outside the hospital, Rex lying beside him, his head resting on his paws. Every time the door opened, Rex's ears twitched. He was waiting too, just as anxious. Finally, the hospital doors swung open, and a doctor approached. His expression was unreadable at first, sending a bolt of fear through Mark's chest. Then a small smile crept across the doctor's face. "She made it," he said. "Both the mother and baby are stable." Mark exhaled deeply, realizing he'd been holding his breath. "Thank God," he whispered, glancing down at Rex. The dog's tail wagged faintly, as if he too understood the moment. "There was an undetected internal rupture," the doctor added. "If she hadn't gotten medical help when she did, well, she wouldn't have made it. I don't know how your dog knew, but he saved her life." Just then, a nurse stepped forward and handed Mark a folded note. He opened it slowly. The handwriting was shaky but clear. "Tell the dog he's my angel. If this incredible story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss another amazing story like this one.